Connecticut's new fascist paint policy. I believe Mussolini said it the best when he said that fascism is really corporatism. It's the merge between corporate and state powers. So let's have this little conversation about Paintcare here. Who is Paintcare? Automatically they're using psychology against you. They're referring to this quasi-government agency as if it was a person, so you're averted from criticizing it. It's really a quasi-government agency. It's no way controlled by the people and is no way constitutional, but Paintcare is a non-profit 501c3 organization. They don't pay any taxes. Yes, they can have savings, they can have investments, and pay their employees million-dollar salaries. It's been established by the American Coatings Association. Sounds a little bit like a lobbyist group. Perhaps someone in that organization had a child who needed a job. But it's here to implement state-mandated paint stewardship programs. That means force you into something. And it's on behalf of paint manufacturers. Since when do paint manufacturers have a say in my life? But anyway, it's only in states that adopt paint stewardship laws. So thus, Paintcare is currently running or preparing to implement programs in communist states like California, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Oregon's thrown in there because there just wasn't enough people to say no to it. What I want to know is where they're going to get their fees from, where they're going to get their funding. So let's look into that. I'll tell you right now, they're going to get money from taxpayers. It says the program is funded by a fee that paint manufacturers pay to Paintcare for each container of architectural paint sold in Connecticut. Now, manufacturers pass the fee to distributors. This is the most important thing about economics people need to learn. The fee is passed to distributors and retailers who include the fee in the purchase price of paint. We, the people, are paying for this program. And it says here that if you buy a half pint of paint to a gallon, you have to pay 35 cents on that. A half pint's 1 cup of paint. You can buy liters of soda and only have to pay 5 cents for recycling. Now, you can buy 1 gallon of paint and pay 75 cents, and if you buy more than a gallon of paint to 5 gallons of paint, you have to pay $1.60. God knows what happens when you buy more than 5 gallons of paint. But retail stores can choose whether or not to display the fee separately on their receipts, and the fee is not a deposit. You do not receive it back. Trust me, the government keeps your money. So it's not like when you buy some soda and you put it back in the machine and you get your nickel back. That's not how it works at all. Well, let's talk a little bit more about why we even needed this program. It says here that there's more than 700 million gallons of paint sold each year in the United States, and it's estimated that 10% of that goes unused and is available for recycling, but that figure is not referenced anywhere. It could be made up from the part of speech 9 times out of 10. It could be completely made up. And let's say if paint even doesn't get used and is just sitting around, what happens to it? Well, it gets used eventually. It sits in the basement for a few years, then people touch up their walls, teach their kid how to paint, build a birdhouse, tree house, a shed, put an addition on their home, or maybe their friend just needs some paint. But until now, unused leftover paint generally was managed through programs operated and paid for by local and state government agencies. That sounds familiar. Turning back, it says that the paint drop-off sites probably will be at government-run household hazardous waste programs. So we're paying more for the same program. Well, let's think about it. Why would we need a paint recycling program? Perhaps people have a lot of paint, like more than 5 gallons or so, that needs to be recycled. Well, it says that you have to check with your facility in advance if they can handle more than 5 gallons of paint at once. And, if you read a little bit more in the pamphlet, there's a whole list of non-program products which are used every day and are paint-related. They just don't accept. Well, what type of paint would need to be recycled? Perhaps paint that's leaking or is not labeled so you don't know what color it is. It says, note, leaking, unlabeled, and empty containers are not accepted at drop-off sites. What do you want me to do with this stuff then? Just dump it in the ocean? I mean, in a time in this economy where it's so weak, so many people are turning to, like fix-it jobs. They're becoming painters and wallpaperers. And those people are the ones who need the most amount of help, and they're the ones being hit the hardest with this new law. So once again, it's just another example of government ruining the world.